If you're a convicted felon on the run and need help hiding from the cops, then you should practice your stealth. Here are the top 10 free stealth games on Itchio you don't know about. Covert Critter is an action stealth game that's an homage to the Metal Gear Solid series, where you control a gecko trying to stop a nuclear launch. Much like the Metal Gear Solid series, the game plays like a top-down stealth game where enemies and cameras have a line of sight you have to avoid. The minimap is extremely useful in this regard as you can see everything, well, until it gets jammed in certain areas. There's some nice level gimmicks like that add some variety to the gameplay. You can find different tools around the environment, with my favorite being a gift box that takes out guards when they open it. The guard's AI is very stupid, which actually works well with how the game plays, but it is very funny to watch. If you're looking for a Metal Gear Solid style stealth game, then I recommend Covert Critter. Plumber's Creed is the game you'd get if Mario and Assassin's Creed had a crack baby, hence the title. It's like 90% Mario and 10% Assassin's Creed, but you can hide from enemies in the hay bales, so I'm counting it as a stealth game. Of course you can jump on enemies to kill them, but you're also armed with a throwing knife and mine to take out enemies. Around levels there are a certain number of symbol blocks you have to hit before you're allowed to reach the end flag. There's a variety of enemies trying to stop you, like guys that shoot arrows, sword enemies, and hammer enemies. If you're looking for a combat platformer crossover game that you never knew you needed, then I recommend Plumber's Creed. Hole Punch is a physics-based action stealth game about dashing through walls with the end goal of reaching a bank. The levels revolve around you dashing through the environment to kill enemies and progress to the next room. In most rooms you just have to reach the end, but others have you collect all the diamonds before you can progress. Since you can't kill enemies directly with your dash, you use it to cut through the level to kill enemies with the surrounding environment. There are a few different enemy types that make levels so thought-provoking. The enemies with sight cones will shoot at you if you get within range, while the snipers will instantly kill you if you get in their line of sight. You can hover in place too, which is used creatively in the sniper-oriented levels. If you're looking for an action game with a super unique concept, then I recommend Hole Punch. Gregor is a third-person stealth combat game where you fight through a strange futuristic world full of enemies and bosses. You're armed with a sword which is used to both block projectiles and slash enemies. Enemies patrol around levels and all get alerted to your position if just one spots you. This is threatening, but since you can't fight all of them, the only real option is to run away, which leads to some unintended scenarios like me running from enemies who are still shooting at me even though I took the elevator to the next floor. Apart from that little kerfuffle, combat is very fun, especially in boss fights. You have a block meter that can only block so much damage before you start losing health, leading to this balance of running around to dodge and block projectiles before finding an opening to slash. If you're looking for a combat-driven stealth game, then I recommend Gregor. Oni Hunter is a stealth puzzle game where you have to kill rooms of enemies while remaining undetected. In every level you activate slow-mo and only have 5 dash charges which are used to move around the level and kill enemies. You have to be sure that your last dash puts you back at the elevator so you can move on to the next floor. There are a few different enemy types on a set patrol pattern that change up how you approach levels. The blind one just has to be hit once, the agent has a sight cone which you can't pass through, and the tank you have to hit twice in order to break his armor and kill him. The levels are all super well designed and you have to take into account where to go, when to attack, and in what order to kill enemies. If you're looking for a thought-provoking puzzle game with a cool Neo Tokyo style, then I recommend Oni Hunter. Fear the Spotlight is a third-person PS1 style survival horror game where you explore an abandoned school to find your missing friend. As you explore the school, you find objects and notes while avoiding this terrifying man with a spotlight for a head. The notes give you hints as to how to progress or backstory about the school and its mysteries, while the objects are used to solve environmental puzzles or reach new areas. The level design makes you feel smart for figuring out how to progress, as nothing ever tells you where to go or what you have to do with an item. The sound design is excellent at heightening the tension, as you know you're vulnerable when Spotlight Head shows up. You have to avoid being in the spotlight for too long or else you die. If you're looking for a survival horror stealth game, then I recommend Fear the Spotlight. O Formigueiro is a stealth game where you play as a cybernetic ant trying to escape an anthill overrun with hostile robotic ants. You don't know why you're there, but do know you have to escape. Well, maybe you do know, but I don't know Spanish or Portuguese, so I personally don't know. Regardless, there are robot ants patrolling around the area, so you have to sneak around them to progress. You're equipped with a sonar that shows the outlines of objects, giving you a temporary night vision before it has to recharge. This is excellent at creating tension since you don't know what's around you while the sonar's recharging. Around levels there are hidey holes to keep you from being seen, keycards that have to be collected to open a door, and buttons that open a door but are on a timer. If you're looking for a stealth game with a cool echolocation mechanic, then I recommend O Formigueiro. Long Spear is a game where you have an extendable spear that is used for both movement and killing enemies. You can only throw your spear in 4 directions, so the levels are designed like real-time slide puzzles in a way where you have to plan your route. Of course, there are stealth elements in the form of enemies who can be alerted to your position. The basic white enemies can be killed with the spear from behind or above, but the red enemies have to be killed with something a bit more explosive. There's a few different level elements like spikes, barriers that can only be broken by an explosion, and one-time use walls. If you're looking for a polished puzzle stealth game, then I recommend Long Spear. Cat World is a third-person horror stealth game where you explore the dark world to progress while avoiding distorted, hostile cats. You play as this little green cat who has to sneak around in search of levers to open up doors to the next area. There's some platforming mixed into levels which adds some variety, though the game can be very dark, making it difficult to see the platforms at times. The distorted cats roam around levels in a patrol pattern, and the sounds they make are terrifying. If you're looking for a simple third-person stealth platformer, then I recommend Cat World. Morphosi is a top-down stealth game where you use newfound powers to escape bloodthirsty enemies in a haunted mansion. After crashing into a tree, your friend goes to a nearby house for help, but once you arrive, you find it's full of monsters trying to kill you. These Cacker Demon enemies patrol in a pattern, these ghoulish monstrosities stand in place but can be lured by record players, and these shadow guys spawn in if you stay in the dark for too long. For story-related reasons, you're able to turn into each of these monsters once you progress far enough. The Cacker Demon can break things, revealing keys to open locked doors, the Ghoul Dude can go through portals, and the Shadow Boy teleports you to an alternate dimension. If you're looking for a stealth game with cool monster abilities, then I recommend Morphosi. Those were the top 10 free stealth games on Itchio you didn't know about. I'll have my playlist of free Itchio games you don't know about linked in the description, as well as my videos on free stealth games on Steam. Thanks for watching, give me money on Patreon, and don't forget to like and subscribe to keep up with this ongoing series.